Broadcasting live from the Phoenix Business RadioX studio in Tempe, Arizona. You are tuning in to Culture Crush with Kendra Maples. This podcast will dive into a variety of companies that are crushing it with a great company culture.
Thank you for joining us. We are back for another episode of the Culture Crush podcast, where we highlight what makes a great company culture and how it affects the overall success of a company. Culture is not just a tagline word to be thrown around. It's not something you throw in a job description to draw people into applying for jobs within your company. It's deeper than that, and it can make or break a company in most cases. So today we have two amazing and unique gentlemen that I'm very excited to have on. We've already been laughing and joking. So this has been a long-time conversation about having you guys on the show. It's been over a year, so I'm very excited. We have Dr. Hammond and we have Dr. Harian with Carrot Lasik Eye Center. Carrot is a practice owned and operated by doctors who really care about their patients, but there's so much more that goes on behind. So it's not just the patients, it's not just doing amazing work and quality work, but there's a lot that I want to dive into today that I know a little bit about already, but I want to be able to highlight to everyone else. And that's exactly what the name of the show is, Culture Crush. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
How are you guys today?
We're doing great. We're enjoying the weather.
Yeah. It's a little
crazy.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. So hopefully you guys can stay dry while you're inside working.
We better.
Right? Tell us a little bit. We'll start on the LASIK side and then we'll dive into the culture a little bit. But tell us a little bit about the practice and, a little bit about the procedures and things that you guys do. Tell us a little bit about Carrot.
You want to go first? Yeah, well, okay. So with regards to the genesis of Carrot, both Matt and I have been practicing for quite some time, over 20 years each. And we found ourselves working in an environment that probably wasn't exactly what we wanted. And that's just been where big business comes in and kind of takes over an industry, and in this case, medicine, specifically ophthalmology. And it was that kind of business model was running rampant through the valley. And we just felt like we were losing control of physicians over one of the most important relationships that we like to cultivate, and that's with our patients. Mm-hmm. And that was hard for both of us. And that was kind of the impetus where we looked at each other and said, let's go start a practice. And that was kind of the nidus for the practice started, because we wanted to get back to what we felt was lost in our Phoenix metropolitan community. And that was getting back to cultivating and fostering meaningful, long-term relationships with our patients. And so that was how Carrot Eye Center was born. And we got together and worked really hard to get it off the ground. And I'll have Matt talk a little bit about the procedures, because that was the easy part.
Yeah, the procedures are, that's what we do. But I think Dr. Harian's right. The why we do what we do is what drives us. And, just a couple of other things to add to that. We, once we got our team of people together that we sort of considered our core group, we sat down for a 2-day little session of planning and really laid out who we want to be and what we want to do differently. And one of those things that's, part of our value system is to have a lot of fun. So we love it. We both feel like we have the best jobs on the planet. We get to take care of people and help them see better. I mean, who gets to do that? That's the coolest job in the world. So we set up a practice that really reflects how we feel about what we get to do. We love what we do every day. Some of the procedures that we do, that's the fun part. So we do things like cataract surgery, but we like to put a little spin on it, because we don't want to just correct the disease of cataract. We want to make you see better than you could before. So we have all kinds of ways to do that with advanced lens technology that lets our patients see both far away, intermediate, up close, all, with less glasses than before. So speaking kind of that, it's really important to go to a cataract surgeon that knows how to do LASIK, because these type of lenses require touch-ups and to make sure it's just perfect. And so you need to be able to add in that little touch-up with LASIK to make them work just perfectly. So we don't just do the basic stuff. We want to make sure we're doing the most advanced modern procedures in the world. We do LASIK, but we don't just do LASIK. We also do SMILE. We do the modern version of LASIK. So it's all computer guided lasers. We have the only laser in the Phoenix metro area to do a new procedure called SMILE.
And what is that?
So SMILE it's essentially like LASIK, just a little different technique. So we only have to use one laser. So it's, there are 6 or 7 different procedures now that you can do to correct someone's vision. And instead of just going to someone that says, well, yeah, we do LASIK. And the reason we only do LASIK is because that's the only laser we bought. Mm-hmm. We have 3 different lasers in our office, and we do, 7 different procedures to correct people's vision. So if you come in and see us, we're going to make sure that you get the procedure that's right for you, not just what we have in the back. So it kind of goes along with our values. We really take care of people, not eyeballs. We want to make sure that everybody gets what they need. So LASIK, SMILE, it sounds like an alphabet soup, but ICLs, those are Collamer lenses that we insert in people's eyes to correct their vision. We do refractive lens exchanges. It's essentially cataract surgery before you have a cataract. So if you're in your mid 40s, early 50s, and you're tired of wearing reading glasses, you can get that procedure done, and then you're done. You don't ever even have to have cataract surgery ever. Plus, you can get rid of your glasses. Dr. Herring did my surgery, so I don't need to wear reading glasses anymore. I'm 49 in a few days, and I got tired of wearing reading glasses, so he fixed my eyes. There are so many individual, personal treatments that we can do now that sort of gone are the days, or they should be gone, where you just go in and get one treatment that sort of everybody gets. Should have personalized treatments now. So we're very accessible. All of our patients will get our cell phones. We like people to call us and get a hold of us if they have problems. We have all kinds of appointments available. You'll see us. You won't just see a technician. You'll see us for pre-ops, post-ops. We're the surgeons. We should be seeing our patients. Mm-hmm. And we're modern. We've got every single bit of new equipment on the face of the planet. And if we didn't, we'd buy that. It's really important that you have new stuff, because it always is getting better. You shouldn't go have your surgery done with a 20-year-old machine. They're totally different now than they used to be. And we're convenient. We're right off the 60 and the 101. We have hours that are good for patients. We're even starting to do Saturday clinics so patients can come in when it's best for them. We're all about trying to make it so our patients can really feel taken care of. We want them to be the driving force of all of our decisions.
Mm-hmm. And you guys have been like this since before day one, because I remember we talked about this, over a year ago, and this was something that was in the plans when you guys were getting ready to start a practice. Is this something that is unique compared to other eye practices? Eye practices? Is it something that is, not the common norm, where the patient gets the doctor's phone number to be able to call if there's a need?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and field that. Yeah, I think that I believe it should be the norm, but it's not.
Yeah.
And I'm just speaking from the patients that we've given our numbers to, and they're like, I've never got a number before.
Yeah.
And I've never had a doctor call me after my surgery to check on me. And I've never received a thank you note from my doctor after performing surgery. While those sometimes can seem like trivial things, they're very important to us. And I think they allow us to build a better bond with our patients, which once you have that in place, it allows you to take so much better care of somebody when you kind of understand what the patient really means when they say this or that. Mm-hmm. And so we really try and go the extra step to get to know our patients better and allow them to know us better. And I think that improves the entire experience, including the delivery of medical care.
It improves the whole process. I think I told you guys a long time ago, my dentist is still in San Diego, even though
Yeah.
I had moved to Arizona, but he was doing the same thing that you guys are doing, which is not the norm, right? To have a dentist call you after you have a procedure done and see how you're doing and how you feel. I was like, wait, are you sure you're calling me? And so
Right.
now, even though I've lived in Arizona for 3 years, I still go back to San Diego to do all my cleanings and stuff because of the attention that he and the staff gave. So what you guys are doing goes way beyond just the practice. You're focusing on the people. And then past that is, the next step. It's not just the people on the outside, it's your staff as well. So you
Right.
guys have built this family almost from the very beginning of all of this. So tell me a little bit, give me some insight into, not only are you focusing on the people on the outside, but what's happening on the inside with clients, with your staff. I mean,
Sure.
especially now with everybody coming back slowly but surely from COVID, you've got the practice open. Give me a little bit of what that looks like right now.
Sure. And I think it's important to go back to COVID, because I think that was kind of a very kind of pivotal point for both Matt and I with regards to how important family is. And when I mean family, I'm talking about the family that we work with.
Mm-hmm.
During that time, that was a very, very scary time for us. Not that we didn't think that we could survive the pandemic, but there were times when there was so much uncertainty, we didn't know. And so it was very hard during that time not to be able to share our concerns and our how nervous we were about things with our potential family here, because we just didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
More importantly, we kind of got to a point where we had to furlough everybody. And I remember the very first time that we did a Zoom call with all of our employees at home, and it was crushing. It was crushing to be here in the office. We were in the office still seeing patients from an emergency standpoint, while we were looking at our staff back home, and they were just looking at us like, what's going to happen? Like, we don't know. And that really, I think for both Matt and I, just it didn't break us, but it really hammered home how important these individuals were to us and how we just did not feel complete without them here. And so we wanted to do everything that we could in our power to make sure that we could get this family back together and get back on the track of providing the best, ophthalmic care we could in the area. And I think we did that. But I think that because of the bonds that we have with our staff here, we could tell them, look, we don't know what's going to happen, but please hang with us. We're going to do everything we can.
Yeah.
And we did not lose one employee during this time. And so they stuck with us, and we were able to negotiate the furlough, and they got back with us. And we've actually grown by a couple positions too. And so I think that hopefully speaks to the values that we tried to impart on day one, and how important we believe family is with regards to getting through not only tough times, but to enjoying the good times as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think hopefully we're on the downslope here, but COVID really did hammer that fact, because it's easy to take things for granted when they're just there. And when they're not, it makes you see things a little bit more clearly. And so I know that was eye-opening for both Matt and I.
It was really difficult. I'm going to switch the sort of topic just a touch, in that the other thing I think is really important about our staff, and maybe I guess it's everybody's staff, or every business owner, but they're a direct extension of Mike and I. So if they are answering the phone, they're answering it because someone's calling in to see either Dr. Herring or myself. So it's a direct extension of us when they check someone in, when they're doing the preliminary diagnostic studies, or working on their bill or whatever. It's a direct extension of Mike and I. So it's really, really important for us that they understand that, and that not only that they sort of understand it, but that they know how we want them to treat those patients, so they can be that direct extension of us.
Mm-hmm. But
Yeah.
you guys have put the work in the very, very beginning. You've put those values in place. You've put those relationships in place so that you have a team that wants to be that extension, right? So that it is a direct reflection of you two. And
Yeah.
every company, right? It's the same for every company. It's the same for every business. The staff is the reflection of the leaders at the top, but if you're not a great leader, then guess what? Your team doesn't want to reflect you. But it's
Well,
showing how amazing.
We feel like one thing, and sorry, I'll let you
No, go for it.
run with this, Mike. But I feel like one thing that's super important about that is to let the staff help develop who we are and who they think we are. So it can't just be Mike and I saying, well, we stand for this, this, and that. It needs to be as a team, this is who we are, this is who we want to be, obviously with our direction.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you get buy-in, and then you get a staff that feels really driven by those same values and mission statements that you create. It's really easy to just dictate something and say, this is who we are. All right, guys, read this, memorize this, or whatever. But if you spend, like we did, 2 days of intense, okay, what do these words mean? Why do we have these words on this page? And what does that mean to you? And do you really believe that? It makes a big difference.
That's right. And I agree 100%. I certainly don't think that Matt and I can take all the credit here at all. We certainly enjoy leading from the front. We're both military, and so we both appreciate how important that is. But like Matt said, we did not do this on our own. This would not be here if it was just Matt and I. We absolutely relied upon our staff members to help us design what we wanted this to be and see if we could get the right people together to make it happen. And I think after our first couple meetings, we're like, we can do this. And then the sit down where we designed the core values was not Matt and I. It was the entire team.
Yeah.
And whether we're designing core values, whether we're hiring somebody, it goes through everybody that works here. And so we really try and just make sure that we don't start or lead with that, but we continue with that constantly.
Yeah, but you're giving them that opportunity. You're giving them the opportunity to be creative, to add value to the company itself. The founder of Groupon says, hire great people and give them the freedom to be awesome. That's exactly what you guys are doing. You're leading, but you're letting...
Surround yourselves with people that are better than you and things, and let them go. Completely subscribe to that. We both do.
Absolutely.
But you bring up an interesting point, is one of the reasons that Matt and I wanted to start Lasik and Eye Center was because we no longer felt empowered to do what we needed to do. And it was almost just like we were being led, and we didn't like that. And nor do we want our staff to feel that way. So we really have and tried, we have imparted that they have all the power to do anything within the parameters of our core values to take care of a patient. I think they've shown that, whether it's somebody dropping off, medications to a patient's house because they forgot them here, or whether it's somebody going the extra mile to drop off driver's license paperwork that didn't get faxed properly. These are just a couple examples of things where somebody just took off and like, where'd they go? They had to go drop off some paperwork. That were like, fantastic. That's exactly what we wanted to, what we like to hear. And more importantly than hearing what patients think about, their surgeries or what they think of the practice, both Matt and I, we love when we hear about the patients talk about our staff. And we hear it all the time. And that's what makes me think that we're on the right track.
Now, you guys talked about doing the 2 days and figuring out the values. Can you tell us what the values were that you guys came? I mean, I know them, but I'm asking so you can tell everyone else.
Sure. Well, it's funny how values kind of start. But so we had this dry board, and we probably had, I don't know, so many different values up there. And we really took a day to try and whittle it down. But some of the main values that we kind of boiled everything down to was one of the big ones for us was see the future. And we thought that there was a lot of subtext.
Especially we're an ophthalmology practice. So
Correct.
see the future was big. We have one of our other one is have fun. So in every interaction, we want our patients to have fun. Collaborate to educate. So
That's a huge
we
one for
feel
us.
like our patients can teach us and we can also educate them about their eyes. So we want every interaction to be collaborative. We want to do the right thing every time. So, everybody makes mistakes. We get that. But we also want to come back and try and do the right thing always.
Right. One of them was be authentically human.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be just be a genuine individual. If there's a mistake and it was yours, own up to it. It's fine. Everybody makes mistakes. It's authentically. You can't be human and be perfect all the time. Keep it fun. We wanted people to be able to come here and have fun. And that's one of my favorite things to hear from patients is that they don't feel like they're coming to a doctor's office. They feel like they're coming to see their friends. And that's probably one of the highest compliments I think somebody could pay.
The authentically human one I really like, for me personally, because we don't take care of eyeballs. They actually are a part of a person, and sometimes that person comes in and their wife's passed away, or they have had just some horrible life experience, and maybe it's better just to talk to them for a little bit and take care of them and make sure they're okay, and we'll get around to their eye stuff, but I think it's really important to remember that there are people.
Right. And I think we talked about be exceptional.
Yep.
What we do
And
well.
I think that got it. We got them all.
There's 6 of them. Is that it? Yeah, we got 6.
We got 6.
Nice. And you said you narrowed this down from a whole gamut of
We
them.
probably had hundreds of different words.
Yeah. Where we ask people to try and describe where they want to be, what they want to be involved with. Yeah. And they all kind of had repetitive themes. And we tried to boil them down into those 6 values. And obviously there's those values you could flesh out and split out as much as you wanted to, but they allow us to you can look at those and, stay on track.
And we'll revisit those every year. That's a living document. It's not, maybe that was what we needed last year, and this year we need something different. So.
And I think that's key too. One of the other shows that takes place in this studio is the Conscious Capitalism show. And with Conscious Capitalism, one of the main guys that's always talked about is for Whole Foods. And they had to redo all of their branding and all of the stores because they added in a new core value to focus on their stakeholders. And he's like, yep, we got to redo all the branding. But it's, it's a changing, it's an evolving. Life changes. You got to adapt to, the family.
And add more staff. You change, you add another office. So everybody needs a chance to buy in.
Yeah. So now with bringing the team back on, right? You've been able to bring everybody back. You're back in the flow. How do things look as far as kind of that day to day? Have things changed? I mean, obviously they've changed a little bit, right? With protocol, you guys are definitely known as being one of the safest practice in the area. So what does that look like? Can you give us a little bit of insight?
Sure. I can start and then Matt can take over. So obviously, like I said, COVID has affected us in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Most of it I would consider a hindrance, but I think there have been some good things to come out of some of the protocols, even when you self-examine after something like this. So obviously, one of the pieces of technology that we wanted to incorporate before COVID even became an issue was telemedicine. And that was going to be the ability to provide not only quality, but state-of-the-art eye care in 2 visits, where a patient come in for all their diagnostic testing, where it's a private appointment. They don't run into anybody else. They leave, and from the privacy of their own home, they can get in touch with Matter Eye, and we can go through all of their diagnostic testing from the comfort and safety of their own home. And so we had put that in place prior to COVID, and I'm so happy that we did, because that became a real linchpin in getting us through, the downtimes of this pandemic. Obviously, the safety protocols we've instituted within the practice itself, wiping down the rooms, escorting the patients out so they don't come in contact with others. We're still mandating 100% mask wear here. A majority of the staff has already been vaccinated, but we're going to continue on with our wipe downs, private appointments, escorting in and out, probably for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
Things are even since we kind of slowed down in March and April, I think, of last year were the real kind of low times, and maybe even into May, I guess, a little bit. But things are picking back up. The numbers continue to grow, and despite having some of what some individuals might call hurdles with wiping down rooms and escorting in and private appointments, we're still continuing to grow. And we're not losing any efficiency. I think we're becoming better at our jobs, even with these protocols in place. And that was one concern that I had, but I think it's been alleviated just seeing how we can moving forward, still able to see our patients without running into any efficiency issues. And that has entailed hiring more staff, which we're able to do because I think we've been able to stay busy enough because of our core values and how we deliver care.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just talk for a quick second about telemedicine. So, I think the vast majority of people that are listening to this, if they hear about telemedicine, they think, oh, great, I get on my phone and I can talk to the doctor for a minute and then that's it. Well, how in the world can you do an eye exam with telemedicine?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you. So we have a private appointment that's split into 2 visits. So the first visit, the patient comes in, they're alone in the diagnostic area, maybe one other person potentially, but they're nice and isolated, and they go through all the diagnostic testing. That includes pictures of their retina, pictures of their lenses, corneal shape, scans of the retina, how thick it is. We get scans of every aspect of the eye, and then we take them to the exam room where they get a refraction to determine if they need glasses or contacts, update those prescriptions. We also then take a video exam using a high-powered microscope of the inside of their eye. And then all of those get saved to their medical record. Then they go home. And the second part of the exam is a private consultation with Dr. Herring or myself. And that's where I can pull up the exams and the scans and all the diagnostic testing and share that screen with the patient. So the patient can see the inside of their own eye. They can see their lens. They can see their retina. They can see their corneal shape. They can see down to almost a cellular level on some aspects of the scanning. And then we show them the video exam of their eye, with the high-powered microscope, so they can see the surface and the inside of their eye again. We go over their eye pressures, and their refraction. And at that point, we've gone through a more detailed, more thorough exam than they may have ever had in their entire life, all through telemedicine. So this isn't just an exam where you kind of hop on with your doctor for a couple minutes and they, update your prescription or give you a new pill. This is actually a very in-depth exam, one-on-one and super interactive, more so than any other eye exam that this patient's ever had. So we tried to make sure that not only did we do a good eye exam, but that we made it a better experience for the patient. This isn't going away. Telemedicine's here to stay. It's going to be an integrated part of the forever, and we'll only develop better and more efficient equipment to help us do it better. But I'm super proud of our telemedicine exams. Our requirement was it had to be better than what they could get otherwise. And I think our patients have really been pleased with how that's gone.
Right. And I think they would echo the sentiment that Matt just shared, and we have had them echo that, saying this was even better than coming into the office, which I don't know how that should offend or not, but they really have said, a couple of things. I've learned more during this visit than I ever have, which is part of one of our core values, collaborate to educate, and that they felt the experience, even a remote experience, was better than anything they've had in the past. And so I think that tells us we're on the right track here. Obviously, we can improve on anything that we do, but we're going to continue working at that. But I think we've got a good baseline so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you guys have the attention to detail to make that experience, better than if you were in person. I think that's been a tricky part for companies through all of this, as so much shifts to, virtual and video and all of that, is to continue to keep those connections and keep that relationship with the patient and keep the relationship, even though you're on the other side of a screen, you're able to actually continue that, and so that your patients are actually feeling that and giving positive feedback.
Right. So originally I thought the patients that had been with us for a while would be okay with the telemedicine because they've experienced the kind of the genuineness of the office in person.
Mm-hmm.
My concern was these individuals that we had never really had an opportunity to get to know prior to COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found was that my concern was completely unfounded, in that these individuals, even though they were remote, they were still able to, experience the genuineness of the staff, and that we didn't lose any of it with the translation of technology. So I was really happy to see that even individuals that we didn't have an existing relationship with appreciated the genuineness of not only the experience with the staff, but the telemedicine encounter with Dr. Hammond and myself. So
yeah, it's been really good.
Yeah.
Nice. And that's been, a constant conversation with a lot of these other companies is, making sure you keep that connection. And we were talking with a company earlier about hiring on new people, and now you're hiring virtually. So how do you let them know your culture? And so with you guys doing the telemedicine, you're just having to translate that through virtually. And I think that's fantastic. You're obviously doing a good job if through the video, people are still able to feel how sincere and how genuine you and your staff is.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more. I want to bounce back to the staff and kind of the growth and the continuing, the culture that you guys have. How do you think that relates to the overall growth of Carrot? I mean, it's got to be that underlying theme that has brought you back, right? You furloughed the staff, brought them back. Now we're at the other side of all of this and growing. Give us some insight into, if you're talking, maybe giving advice to another company that doesn't want to focus on the culture of their company. They don't think they need to.
I would say it's the only reason why we survived, and absolutely the only reason why we've had any growth during this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we've separated the growth of the practice from the growth of our staff. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't, we wanted them to grow within our business here. We want this to be the last calling that they ever need. So we want people to be able to, they may start out in this position, but it's very important for us that they grow. And we don't want, if they want to, I mean, that's part of our, when we sit down and have our evaluations, like, what are your dreams? What are your aspirations?
Right.
We had somebody in here today that we were talking about, listen, you mentioned optometry school. Where are we at with that? And so we not only want to see our practice grow, but I believe by concentrating on the growth and needs of our staff, that happens organically.
Mm-hmm.
Happy staff, happy patients, more patients.
It's true. It's all tied together. And then it's interesting for you guys because you're still a fairly new practice. So as you continue to grow, one of the things that we were talking with Heidi Jananga from WebPT earlier was we were talking about, now they've been around for a while. So now that culture is just, it's there, right? And other people from the outside see it. And so in itself, it's almost like its own recruiting tool, right?
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
As you guys continue to grow and you continue to support your staff then it's not only supporting the recruiting, but now it's supporting the retention,
Absolutely.
I know that when we talked a long time ago, you guys already had the plan of wanting to have multiple practices.
Yeah, right.
So now if you are supporting your staff, training your staff, hey, they might be the ones that grow and then they end up being one of your doctors in one of the other offices.
Exactly right.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly what is happening. And so we're excited to see that kind of come to fruition, albeit slowly with COVID, but it's really coming together, and we couldn't be happier.
Yeah. That's fantastic because it really is it's at the root of all of this. And it's been interesting lately reading more and pulling data about, the culture and how the culture really is the root of companies and the root of sustainability. And you're saving money on recruitment, you're saving money. They say it's over $4,000 just to have one person that you hire, train, and then if
Oh,
they
yeah.
leave,
Right.
that's
For
just
sure.
that's just in the
That's
beginning, right?
right. That's exactly right. And the staff has done such a great job because I believe, because they've been pivotal in putting this together with us.
Hmm.
And now you're right, a recruitment tool, which used to be something that we just had to work really hard at. We've got more people wanting to come work here than we have openings right now. So it's a great thing. And I don't think that's because of, or I should say a significant portion of that is probably the culture that the entire team here has cultivated. I think the word's getting out that probably part of the reason that we started this practice, it's real. And it's not smoke and mirrors, it's real. And I think it's not only drawing patients, but individuals that want to be part of that as well.
Hmm. I want to touch upon something that Mike you threw in earlier and you just kind of walked right over, but I want to pull back and add some value to. Both of you are veterans.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate both of you. So thank you for that. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
So with that background, how does that change, affect, add to the culture that you guys have there?
That's a great question. I think it infuses into everything we do. I mean, we both were green and grew up inside the service organizations, and we learned the value of hard work and constant effort in whether it's chain of command or clear communication, or sometimes there has to be a decision that's made too,
Hmm.
and you just gotta everybody's got to be on board and we make the decision. Sometimes it's not super easy. Culture isn't something that you just have or that it's just there. It's a work in progress all the time,
Hmm.
and it never is done. It's never, our job is done, our culture is done. That's it. It's always a work in progress, and I think we both probably learned that in the military really well.
Absolutely. I agree with Matt 100%. One of the nice things about the military is that it makes you appreciate the importance of team.
Yeah.
In
Hmm.
that in the military, we call it mission objectives, and that you absolutely cannot do that by yourself.
Hmm.
No ifs, ands, or buts, you cannot do it by yourself. But if you've got a team, there is nothing that you can't do.
Hmm.
And I think that was very reassuring,
Yeah.
knowing that Matt was a veteran, that I was a veteran, because we're stubborn as it is. But if you get two stubborn military vets, there's
Oh,
not
geez.
one obstacle you can put in front of us that we will not negotiate over time.
Yeah.
we get there.
And so that was always, I never had to worry about like Matt or a staff member or myself saying I give up, because that's one of the beautiful things about individuals in the military, serving in the military. They just don't give up, and there's nothing you can put in front of them that'll make them give up. And I think that was one of the important,
Totally agree.
one of the important
Yep.
lessons, or one of the important attributes that still resonates within the practice here.
How did you guys connect to do all of this in the first place? Because there's irony in it, right? That you're both veterans. You both did this in the military, and now, deciding to form your own practice. How did you guys connect in the very beginning of all of this?
Okay, I've got this one because this is actually a good story. And I think Matt will agree 100%. I mentioned earlier that there'd been a wave of big business coming into the Phoenix metro area that had purchased a lot of the ophthalmology practices. I was part of one of those practices. And like I said, I was starting to lose where I felt like I was empowered to take care of patients the way I wanted to. And so I was already beginning to become a little bit disillusioned with this. And, when you're part of a big machine that's really has business at its core, I remember coming into the office one day and learning that we were going to have a new doctor joining us next week or the week after, or, a couple months down the line, whatever it was. And I'm like, I don't remember being consulted on this. I don't remember, normally if you're going to have a partner come on, you meet with the partner, you sit down, you visit with the partner, you meet their family, you find out about them. And that just kind of exemplifies part of the issue that I had with kind of big business coming into what I would consider should be small business. And so I remember like, okay, this is it. I'm out of here. And I'm going to meet this guy. And I know this guy is going to piss me off and I'm not going to like him. And it's going to just absolutely bolster my decision to walk out the door and do something else on my own. And the exact opposite happened. I met Matt, and within 4 minutes, I'm like, all right, I'm taking this guy with me. We're out of here. So I think we both kind of met under those circumstances, real tough circumstances. And I think we did a really good job where we were at, making sure that we were able to leave under the right conditions, and we left. We didn't burn any bridges. But it was ironic that I thought that the arrival of this individual was going to be the impetus of my departure. It was, but I didn't realize.
But you took him with you.
No, yeah, we just decided it was time to go.
Right.
That's awesome. I love that, because who would have thought?
That's right.
That's exactly right.
And then take him with. But it's pretty cool to hear what came out of what maybe wasn't the best situation, the best company, the best place for you. Honestly, that's how I started this podcast. Not to throw any companies under the bus, but I have worked for companies that had a great company culture, and I couldn't even necessarily put my finger on it. It was just a family. It was a flow. Everybody worked together. We just did so well. And then I have worked for the opposite. And that's when I started to go, wait a minute, this isn't how it's supposed to be. This isn't right. And so I wanted to be able to start something where I could highlight companies like you guys, and especially you guys, because I feel like folks don't think about, oh, my eye doctor is such a great company, has a great culture. You know what I mean? I don't feel like that's in the forefront of people's minds. And so that's why I wanted to start this, to be able to highlight, the eye doctor, highlight the construction company, highlight the moving company, highlight these companies that understand beyond just, hey, I have this company and we're making money. Well, if you focus on your people, you focus on your staff, you focus on your patients, then that other stuff is going to come too.
Right.
It goes
Right.
hand in hand. So
it always will,
Yeah.
And I can't speak for Matt, but I know that throughout my life, if I've had some very great things that have happened to me or that I've been a part of, usually was overshadowed by some degree of turmoil.
Yes, for sure.
And so I think there's always an opportunity to grow. And turmoil is not necessarily a bad thing. Conflict is not necessarily a bad thing.
Mhm.
And I think that you, like in your case and in our case, we were able to grow and improve from it.
Mm-hmm.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So when you guys are going to bed on Sunday and you're thinking about, okay, work's the next day, what is something that you think about and that's like the best part of your day? You're excited to be able to go in, see your staff that's come back now, see your patients that are coming in now. What's something that you're like, and not the cookies in the break room, because I know there's snacks in there. That's not what I'm asking.
Okay, so I'm going first. This one's easy. I get to see Mike.
Aw.
So, he's my best friend, and I think we're super lucky to do what we do. I love seeing my patients. I love seeing the staff, but I really like seeing Mike every day. So that's good.
That's why he went first, because he knew I was going to do that. No. So, because of our schedule, sometimes there will be times where we're not in the office at the same time. Yeah. And it's just boring. It's just boring when you're by yourself. I mean, great. Listen, seeing patients is great, and I love being with the staff and patients, but it's nice when you can have the entire team together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's fun because we like having fun. And there's nobody to laugh at my jokes when Matt's not
here. He's got some good stuff.
You can call me. I'll laugh.
That's right.
Well,
and also the snacks in the break room.
Yeah, I knew that was part of it. Well, and just being back When you brought everybody back, was it kind of a staggering approach to slowly bring everybody back?
Yeah, we just had to bring him back as we could afford.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that was really hard.
Mm-hmm.
That is what made us really evaluate our core values. Because when you're bringing staff members that for all intents and purposes have the same experience level and started on the same day,
Yeah.
how do you bring staff member A back before staff member B?
Yeah.
And so we really that was a difficult time for us, where we really had to say, look, we really need to boil this down to the skill set of the staff member. And if that's the skill set that we need to employ at this stage, that's who comes back. I think because of the values that we have, I think that our staff understood that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I thought could be a source of angst, they turned out to be very, very understanding. And within the course of, I think, 3 weeks, we were able to get everybody back.
Oh, that's not bad.
No.
I was thinking the time frame would be longer. So
Now that doesn't include the furlough time when, Matt and I
Sure.
were basically seeing patients. But once we were able to start bringing staff back,
Mhm.
we were able to probably do it in a more expedited manner because we had the patients there too.
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice. But what I thought might be a problem turned out not to be a problem. And I think it's because they knew that our core values, we had the best
Yeah.
in mind for not only patient care, but for the practice and for them.
Yeah.
For sure.
And they trust you guys. You've built such an amazing team there that they trusted you. They knew you were going to bring everyone back in the process that needed to happen.
Right. Exactly.
Awesome. So one of the questions that I always try and wrap up with, and we're getting closer to that time, is if you had to summarize your company culture into one word, what would it be and why?
What we should do, we should write this down on paper because I can almost
It's written
guarantee
on the
Matt's going to have the same answer.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Family.
Yay.
Yeah. All right. That would have
And
been
why?
embarrassing.
I mean, we've talked about it a little bit throughout the past, part of the show. We've talked about you guys forming this family, building this family. Why is that a unanimous answer?
When you asked, what do we look forward to on Sunday?
Yeah.
It's getting back together with everybody. And what broke our hearts is when we couldn't be together with everybody. We had to look at them, not in their uniforms, but in their clothes at home. I'm like, they should be here in uniform with us. And it really, it was hard. And the reason that was hard and it's so great to be back is because it's real. The family is real.
Yeah.
I think also, family comes with good and bad, right? You can't,
yes.
you don't choose your family, you choose your friends, or I don't know, there's some saying about that, but it's like, there's good and bad with family. And it's the same thing with our staff. It's not always perfect and it's not always easy and it's rough and there's bumps and ups and downs, but you stick together. And that's what families do. We take care of each other, we stick together, and we make it through.
Right. That's a good point.
And that's why I love that you guys answer with that word, because it's not always perfect.
No.
But
it can be messy and ugly. And
I mean, look at what you guys have gone through over the last year. And now your family's still strong. There's been some bumps. And I'm sure at some point somebody didn't agree with what was going on, but they trusted the process. And now.
Yeah, we got rid of them.
Did we mention that?
There's that.
I'm joking. We didn't have to get rid of it. We didn't have to get rid of anybody, which was
I love it. Well, I'm so glad that we had the chance to finally do this. We've talked about this for so long, having you guys come on and talk about the culture, really, because I want to make sure everybody out there sees the behind the scenes, right? It's not just, obviously, you guys are doing amazing things, all of the amazing procedures. I've seen the amazing technology that you guys have. You have all kinds of, it looks like a space room in there with all of the stuff. I don't think NASA has some of that stuff, but it's amazing now, fast forward, to be able to have you guys in the show, highlight the amazing things that you are doing. and the unique background that brought you guys both here. So I am
Thanks for having us.
incredibly appreciative.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I am
Likewise.
incredibly
Thank you for having
appreciative.
us.
You're welcome. With the last moments that we have, I want to make sure you guys have the chance to do any last minute, tell us about how people can get in touch with you. I know that now there's, one of the key things is that you guys are affordable. Now there's plans for people that say, oh, LASIK's too expensive for me. You guys have answers to all these. So I want to give you guys the last few minutes to give us all of your last minute thoughts, ideas, how people can reach you. Go for
We're
it.
super easy to get a hold of. You can get us on the web. You can text our main number, which is 480-561-6000. You can call us. You can send us an email. You'll find that on the website as well. You can come by. We're super easy, convenient. We want you to be able to get a hold of us. So we make it a point that it's easy to get to us.
Right. And in addition to accessibility, we know that a lot of the procedures that we offer are not covered by insurance.
Right.
And so in addition to being accessible, we wanted to make sure that care was accessible as well. And so we tried to go out of our ways to find individuals and third parties that could offer financing that could fit anybody's budget. And so we really tried to make sure that that's in place as a tool for our patients if they need it.
I love it. Well, both of you, I am very excited. Again, thank you for your service, your time, I don't think our listeners realize, but you guys are at the practice right now. So as soon as we get off of this, you're going back to work.
Back to seeing patients.
To go see patients. So thank you. I appreciate you guys
Thanks,
way
Kendra.
more than you know.
Thanks, Kendra. It's good seeing you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us for Culture Crush, the podcast that does a deep dive with company leaders to learn about real life experiences, tips, and best practices for creating a healthy work environment where employees are finding joy and satisfaction in their work. If you work for a company or you're the leader of a company that has a great culture, we'd love to have you on the show. You can find us on LinkedIn and email us, and we'd love to bring you on as well. Until then, thank you for listening, and we hope that your companies keep crushing it with a good company culture.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Culture Crush, the only podcast out there that does a deep dive of companies that are crushing it with a great company culture. If you think your company has a strong culture that should be highlighted, please reach out to Kendra Maples on LinkedIn or email us at culturecrushpodcast@gmail.com.